The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
What's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen here with you on what is today? Thursday.
Dude, you know what? Today's not the day to ask me. Okay, I've had a rough 24 hours, all right? And then, like, a chunk of it hit me today. You know, I burnt the Pop-Tarts in my toaster because I set the thing was set at, like, 6, not 3. So I had black chocolate Pop-Tarts toasted overly, so I threw them away.
I thought you liked things dark.
You're such a punk, and you know it.
What?
Don't act innocent. Don't act innocent, you bitch.
I thought that's
no.
That's how you liked it cooked. That's
And then I pour myself you're such a jerk. I pulled myself a bowl of cereal. I spill that bowl of cereal. I wipe it up, slip on the floor, wipe out, tear my ACL and MCL, and then grab 2 baskets of laundry, thinking I'm a He-Man. Walk up the stairs. Well, the 2 baskets overwhelm me, and I fall back down the stairs. And laundry spills all over.
Karma. It's karma.
That's what I told you. I'm sorry.
It's karma.
I've apologized. And you don't even care. You're like, I tell you today, and you're like, well, sucks to be you now, doesn't it? Have you learned your lesson? And I'm like, what?
Shouldn't be speaking out of turn. That's what happens. It catches up to you.
You're so mean. You're such a bully.
Hey, I will say it's nice today to not have cameras pointing in our faces and like people just outside the window lurking.
Did you not enjoy that?
It was a little weird.
Luckily, I'm facing you. So
I know, you don't have... They're like looking in, people walking by. What's going on out here?
There's a camera right here, and so I can see your face on the camera, and then I can see your face right there, and I'm like... Oh, and then at every break, I need you to scoot up. Please put the mic down this way. I'm like, can't even hear me then. No. Oh crap. Well, Eric,
hopefully that video that got shot will never be for public consumption.
Oh, it better not. I didn't release my rights to it. That's for sure. I didn't sign no waiver.
Somebody was experimenting with their toys.
And that's the last time they should experiment with their toys, period.
Hey,
Eric, great night of basketball again.
Well, depends on who you're watching and cheering for.
That's a good point. Too soon.
If it was about the Aggies, yes. Another great defensive performance.
We think.
Just locked down New Mexico. Nimi, you and I talked about before who needed to step up and have a bigger game and who was going to need to play a bigger role. Neither one of us said Nimi. But, man, he was an impact player.
I owe you a big apology because I remember before the season you had said, look, the whole, or I guess it was just a couple games in, the whole thing of bagging on Nimi because he's not putting up the 2010 and 12 that he should be, quote unquote, it needs to stop because he's still a very impactful player in a lot of different ways, and he still does a ton of things for the Aggies, and he's a major reason why the Aggies are on a 7-game winning streak. And I just thought, well, he's not, like, we're not seeing it. We're not seeing the Nemish of his freshman year. And I remember you said, wait, just give it some time and it will show up. And since conference play, he leads the league in blocks. He leads the league in defensive, or the Aggie defense is led by Keta in points given up. And Keta is probably the main factor in why the Aggies lead the conference in scoring average in the Mountain West as well, 5 games in. It's incredible.
His impact on how he affects the game doesn't always show up in a stat sheet either.
No,
they were missing a ton of shots.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Jeff Grammer, I appreciate you seeing that and sharing that on Twitter. He posted the shot chart for New Mexico.
Oh my gosh.
Just so bad. It was so bad.
What do you do if you're New Mexico? Because they went 0 for 8 in their first 8 shots. They couldn't hit from the perimeter. You can't go inside because either Keta or Bean are going to just put it back outside the 3-point line. like, what do you do? I mean, you run out of options at this point. And I thought the perimeter defense was really good last night too, Eric.
Yeah, I really liked and Keta played a great game. They have adjusted and corrected the stat sheet, by the way. The official box that I'm looking at it. Keta is credited with 5 blocks. Bean is credited with 3 blocks. Although I guess Dorius still only has 1 block to his name, but I guess there may be some debate there whether he had 1 or 2 blocks. But how Marco Anthony played on the perimeter, I liked what Barstow did in minutes that he played.
How about Alfonso too?
And then I was going to lead to that. I thought the biggest contribution off the bench was Alfonso Anderson. That was the Alfonso we all know and love, and we've been waiting for this season to show up. He's had some moments here and there in games, but he hasn't been able to put together a solid game like we saw last night. And I loved what he was able to do. Just like, yes, it's clicking for Alfonso. Keep going. And he had a great game.
He had a couple. Did he have 2 N1s or just 1? I think he had 2, didn't he?
I thought he had 2.
I think he had 2. He shot well from the free throw line. It was funny, though, because the Aggies had made up to, I think the second time he was at the free throw line, 15 straight free throws. And then he clanks that one, and they go to a break, and you can, I think it was Ashworth that goes up to him and kind of throws his arm like, come on, man, we had a streak going. And so, but the great thing about Fonzo, is he's so good about just going to the line and knocking it down. Remember last year when against Montana State, we're in that battle with him. The lights are being turned off and turned back on, and the guy's in his first game inside the Spectrum, and he goes 8 of 8 at the line. Like, and you could just tell the line, it can get to some people, and it just doesn't ever affect Fonzo. I just thought he was so good.
Yeah, he was the best of anybody, getting to the line, creating action. And you and I have talked about this. You know, we like some of the things that Keta does and what he does in the low post, but they don't give themselves free points.
Yeah.
They could be we see that they could be a little bit more aggressive, forcing the action sometimes in the low post, and either go hard. Either you make a bucket, or they have to foul you hard to prevent you from making a bucket.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Keta only had 2 free throw attempts.
Wow.
But Anderson was 5 for 6, and I liked his aggressiveness. He was making things happen for Utah State.
Yeah, by the way, Wooster. Okay, so I panicked on Keta. So, speaking to existence, Wooster, are you worried at all? I mean, he was 1 of 2 from the field. He was 1 of 1 from, or 0 of 1 from deep. In 20 minutes, he had, one assist. He had 2 points. Quiet night for him. Give me your thoughts.
Well, he had, points-wise, yes. He only had 1 assist. But he did have a steal, and he had 6 boards. So he was active doing other things. Look, he arrived on the scene, and our eyes just got opened wide like, holy cow, look at this true freshman. Look what he's doing. He doesn't care who's a senior and who's not. At some point, it was going to catch up to him a little bit. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury or being having a cold or sick or just, you know what, there's been some travel and just trying to get caught up in understanding the college game, and teams are figuring out who Raleigh Worcester is. I'm not worried. Based on what we've seen at the start of the season, how this kid approaches the game, I'm not overly worried. If it's an ongoing trend, then maybe we should start to look at a few things. But the other thing, too, is there's some great ball handlers and scorers off the bench. So if he's not on for any given night, Ashworth and Barstow have come along, and they're good, solid replacements for Raleigh Worcester.
Yeah, and Ashworth has been so good on the court, and I think Raleigh does a good job of bringing a calming presence on the court. But I think there's just something about Ashworth that's like he's there. You know, everything's. I mean, it's almost a Sam Merrill presence. Not saying that he is the effective Sam Merrill, but it's just that he's going to put you in the best spot. Offensively, he's going to make sure that the offense is in place, and that you're going to get the best opportunity to score every single time. And then on the defensive side, the one big concern I had about Ashworth going into the season was his defensive ability. Like, is he going to get twisted in circles and is put in a spin cycle by every good guard in the league, or is he going to be able to handle his own? And for the most part, he's really, really good about just being under control, giving space, not too much, but enough to say, you know what, if you're going to try and get by me, I'm going to be able to beat you to that spot. And I think Ashworth has been really, really good.
Especially considering this is a guy who came home from his mission in May.
Yeah.
The gyms were closed through the summer, and he's been trying to get his body back in basketball shape just kind of as the season is going, because he hasn't had a lot of time to prepare himself. So, yeah, there's some really nice bright spots on this team that have come along ahead of what we kind of anticipated, I think. 9315 texts in, that drive from Nemi was crazy when he drove her to the basket and dunked it on them like he was a big-time ball handler last night.
Yeah, his ball. What's been more impressive to you, his ball handling or his passing skill?
I think I've been more impressed with his passing this season.
Have you?
I mean, he is right there almost every game among the leaders in assists for Utah State. So understanding to see where the pressure is coming from, defensive pressures, and then recognizing where the open man is, that's a great skill to have as a big man if you want to go to the next level.
Yeah, and especially when he's backing in like on the left block and you got a guy on the right wing, it's either Ashworth or Worcester, and just being able to spot them in the corner of the eye, not having to turn his body all the way around and see it, but being able to just take a quick like blind spot look and then making that decision. I would agree. I think he's been much, much better at that. On the other side, New Mexico, is this team struggling that badly, or is Utah State this good? Let's have that conversation again. Because this is starting to kind of get in a ridiculous mode right now what the Aggies are doing to teams.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think this New Mexico team is really underperforming under Coach Weir. They should be more competitive than they are. But look, their preseason was a bunch of soft teams, and they haven't looked good against anybody in conference play. So shouldn't come as much of a surprise. But on the other hand, how Utah State has stepped up its game since that 3-game tournament in North Dakota, I think it's really improved and it's impressed. And even the BYU game should have been there for Utah State. You know, a few calls go a little bit differently like they should have, and a few key possessions they don't kind of flitter away. They do the right thing with the right, just understanding time and clock and possession. But I really like how this team has come together these last couple of weeks, and it's because they figured out how to do things better defensively, and that's leading to more confidence offensively. And that's what I really like about this team. It's a hallmark of Utah State right now, is that they're a great defensive team.
Yeah, the defensive part of them is what's really surprised me the most, especially from the perimeter. You knew what you were going to get from Bean. You knew what you were going to get from Keta. You knew what you were going to get from Dorius. But like Raleigh, Ashworth, I think Marco's been really, really good defensive. And his length and his size gives so many guards so many problems. And he'll be tested next week against San Diego State. He'll be really tested against Boise State. But so far, I would agree with you. I think those guys hanging in there, staying the course, and just not overreaching or getting too greedy on steals and such, and not putting themselves in foul trouble has been big for the Aggies.
Yeah, New Mexico only had one guy in double figures. One. McGee off the bench. Utah State really did a nice job of,
and it took them a while for him to get in there, didn't it? Yeah, it took them a while just to even get into the double figure category. They just shot so poorly in the first half, and it was crazy that they were able to. I mean, when they climbed, they got it to 15. Right, was the closest they got it to, I believe. Mm-hmm. You were still kind of like, oh crap, here we go. Are you worried about it? Are we going to fall apart? And I think that's when Fonzo came up with that big end one. Marco had a big three. We got a big, I think it was a floater from Ashworth. And then we were off and running again, and it was really never The Aggies weren't threatened the rest of the way. But and then the other thing is we talked about scoring droughts for the Aggies that happened, I think, in the first 2 or 3 games. And now, I mean, they're shutting out teams for 4 to 5 minutes. And New Mexico didn't score for like 5 minutes and 46 seconds when the Aggies went on a 11-0 run. It was like a 30-6 run to end the half, 23-3 run to end in the final 3:46. Just nuts what they're able to do when they play great defense, how it translates into productive offense, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that's it seems like it's got there's buy-in from everybody. I don't see that there's I can't think that there's anybody, at least in the main rotation, that I'm seeing that's they're not buying into this defensive approach. Like, guys are just taking it off or not taking it as seriously. Brock Miller was not hitting as much from 3 like he has during this stretch. He was only 1 of 5, but because teams know he has that ability and because he's been able to do that, he still is able to help spread the floor and make teams respect what he can do and has the ability to do. So I really liked how that team came together. Only 4 3-point shots made. They really didn't need to put up a ton of 3-pointers based on what they were able to do all over the rest of the court inside the 3. But would have liked to seen a little better shooting from beyond the arc for Utah State. But again, they win by 32. So it's hard to nitpick too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for us. What do you think Coach Smith is trying to do? He's looking around. He's like, well, I can't yell at Keta. He got another 5 blocks tonight. I can't yell at Bean because he's helping out Keta, And I mean, it's got to be hard for him to look in the film and be like, look, we're not doing this right. We're not doing this right. Raleigh, you could do this better. Ashworth, you could smile more. Like, it's just hard to find anything these guys are doing wrong right now. I mean, maybe in the latter part of the game, things are a little bit sloppy. It's what you expect from guys who aren't getting a lot of minutes right now. But other than that, I just think our starters have been phenomenal. And this is crazy. The over-under was 12, and they cover easily.
9315 texts in. They've gotten way better. Can't wait to see what they do next week.
That's gonna be the measurement stick, right? I think every team looks forward to that measurement stick game. Next week is it, and then the following week, Colorado State's not a bad basketball team either, and they're gonna have to really be ready. Best preparation is gonna have to be put forth next Thursday and Saturday.
Boise got past Air Force pretty easily last night.
Yeah.
Those are the only games in conference play last night. So Boise and Utah State, both 5-0 in conference play. Colorado State's 3-1. Nevada's 3-1. San Diego State and Wyoming are 1-1. And so that's kind of your top level of the Mountain West. And then after that, it's a lot of poo. I mean, after that, it really is this dramatic drop off. Wyoming is 7-2. That was the last team that I mentioned. Fresno State, they're 3-3 overall. Air Force is 3-6. UNLV is 1-4. San Jose 2-6. New Mexico 3-5.
UNLV
so the top half is
bad.
good. The bottom half is really bad.
UNLV being that bad really surprised me. I thought they'd compete this year. Boise State terrifies me, Eric. They scare me to death, and the fact that we're going to Extra Mile Arena to play them there, man, you don't get a lot of calls inside that arena. With or without fans, I don't care. Place is a scary, scary place to play a basketball game, and you got to go play both of them there. Not looking forward to that series.
8798 text in. It's never hard for a coach to find something to improve on.
It's true. That's true. Look, and if anybody can do it, Craig Smith can find it. He'll find something, and he'll say this isn't great or this isn't great. And 8798 is right. But from our standpoint, it's hard for us to be like, yeah, well, this is not great, this isn't great, and this could be better. And I mean, I don't know. It's tough to do. But it's been impressive what they're doing right now, and got to keep it up though. Like again, that measurement stick will shine brightly, but good or bad, next Thursday and Saturday against San Diego State. That's a series you have to split. Can't lose them both. Got to split. You got to split those games.
Win them. Why do you have to split them?
Do you? Okay, but realistically,
just look at the momentum Utah State has right now.
Realistically, do we sweep San Diego State? Now, I don't know when the last time we actually swept San Diego State is. I have to look at that.
Ooh, I don't know that that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't know if it happens next week. I think out of the two games, maybe we'll use that for a pick six. So I'm not going to give it away. Actually,
January 14th on CBS Sports Network, and then Saturday at 11 a.m. on CBS.
Yeah, and by the way, Clark Kellogg will be there as the color analyst. I don't know who the play-by-play guy is, but I know Clark Kellogg will be there as the color analyst, which will be pretty cool. Guy who voiced NBA 2K for how many years, and
is that all he's known for?
Yes, that's
voiced
all
the
everybody
video
knows
game?
him. Yes, because everybody plays 2K except for you. You have to go play NBA Jam.
NBA Jam. He's on fire.
Ugly shot.
And it clinks in. Can't tell you how many times
Dude,
I've had that.
I used to do that when pickup ball. I'd be like, ugly shot just before they shoot it. And one guy would always get mad at me. Don't invite him back. It's annoying.
If you want to weigh in on last night's game for Utah State or the Utah Jazz, 435-339-0321. Or you can message us directly through the 106.9 The Fan mobile app.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press.
Hey, did you see... So, two things about Keta. One, he's 2 blocks away. We all thought he was 1 block away. Now it's 2 officially. Blocks away from getting... or tying for first place with Gilbert Pete, 86-89, for the blocks record in school history in a career. And then USU men's Twitter account put out the stat. Only players in the last 25 years to average 11 plus points, 8 plus rebounds, 3 plus assists, and 2.5 blocks per game. Dominic McGuire at Fresno State, Tim Duncan at Wake Forest, Namish Keta.
Wow.
Holy crap. But at the same time, that's kind of like an ESPN stats info when they're looking for something sweet on LeBron. The last guy to average 22 points and 6 assists and 4 steals and 3 blocks.
And
while dribbling
25 minutes of the game.
While dribbling with his left hand.
And chewing his fingernails on the sideline.
So, some people kind of reach for a stat like that, but that's incredible. That's amazing. That's best big man ever in Utah State basketball history, Eric?
Certainly think he is on that pace.
Would you put him in the top 3? I'm going to do this to you.
Top 3? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Absolutely.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Whew. Okay, so we're talking about like Ty Wesley, Wayne Estes, right? Because he's considered a big man.
Yep. Spencer
Nilsson, Gary Wilkinson. There's 3 All-Americans on that list. I guess, is there 3 All-Americans on the list or just 2? Ty was an All-American, right?
Ty was, he was an All-American.
Gary was an honorable mention? Or was he an All-American at all? I thought he was. Wayne Estes was, obviously.
Yeah.
Spencer Nilsson was great. Man, where would you put Namish Keta in the big men history? Wow, that's a good question.
Hey, 9315 texts in. Ajay, don't speak that into happening with San Diego State about getting the split. We can win both.
I love the optimism. I'm just bringing, and you know what? You're welcome, Jazz fans, because I brought you back to reality, didn't I? Yeah, you're welcome, by the way. I hope you're happy. Oh,
that game was bad in the second half.
I don't want to talk about it. I watched the highlights, and I got through to the fourth quarter, and I had to actually take a 25-minute break from it because I knew it was coming, and I just didn't want to do it. And I went back and watched it, and I broke my computer nearly. Unreal.
We'll get to the Jazz a little later on.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Maybe we just skip it.
But one last thing for me from this Utah State game last night. loved the play of Nimi. Loved the play of Alfonso Anderson coming off the bench. Utah State has needed that for some time. It hasn't cost him any games, but per se, I think if he would have played early in the season like he played last night, maybe it's a different story in how they play in that Bad Boy Mowers Classic. But I really like the composition of this team and how it's come together. There were a few questions about all these new players, new faces, new system for these guys. Not a new system from Greg Smith, but how would they come together? And there were some moments earlier it was a little shaky, but I think it's coming together better. And you're seeing what that rotation is really coalesced into. At the same time, I'm still hesitant to get too excited or extend myself too much because the teams that they have beaten are bad teams. But the teams they are destroying are bad teams.
But Eric, San Jose State's one of those bad teams, right? So yes. Boise State beating them at the last second. Look, and I said this on Twitter today, that you might talk about their schedule, Mountain West Conference schedule, the way it is. That's fine. But it's one thing to play against it and win. It's another thing to continually just thrash it. Game after game after game. Eric, it's 5 straight conference games of 18-plus point wins or more. 18-plus or more, like, winning margins.
True.
I mean, come on.
That's true.
Boise State squeaked by San Jose State in Game 1. Yeah, sure, they got their crap together in Game 2, but it took Game 1. San Diego State struggled with Colorado State in Game 1, fell apart, and lost that game. Utah State is winning by an average of 33 and something points. 33-point-something points in their first 5 games of conference play. That's the first time in school history that they've won their first 5 games by 15-plus points in the first 5. They are 1 game away from tying the best start in conference play. There's that, is it the Big West team or the WAC team? Big West team in 02 and 03 that went undefeated in conference play, then choked against Cal State Northridge.
Yeah.
And this team is marching up that ladder with better competition. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I will concede that. It's not that they're just beating bad teams. It's how they're beating these bad teams. You're right. They are destroying them. They are blowing them out by wide margins. And you know what? They have to. They have to. It doesn't really affect your net ranking if you beat a quad 4 team by 2 points or by 20 points. But it makes a lot of difference in the committee's eyes. If they get to that point, if they have that luxury to be part of that discussion, if they can keep things going into early March, say, yeah, they beat some bad teams, but look how they beat those bad teams. They did what they were supposed to do. They dominated them. They didn't just squeak by. They don't have a 5-game winning streak, just beating them by 6 points here or 4 points there. It's 18 points or more. You're right. It's total domination.
Yeah, and they're just not getting enough credit for it. They're not. People want to keep talking about the schedule. I mean, again, talk about the schedule all you want, but it's the fact that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's no 1-point games right now. It is just, it is domination game after game after game, and it's been someone different almost every other time. We continually talk about someone different that steps up big. It was Raleigh for a couple of games, and it was Nemias, obviously, and Ashworth, Alfonso yesterday. And as Marco Anthony in that Game 2 against Air Force, it's someone different. And as long as they continue to get experience and get minutes and get back into the groove, I think they run away from New Mexico tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens with San Diego State next week.
2409 texts in. They're 5-0 because it's the first year they played 5 straight games against crummy teams.
Again, Sure. Okay, they're 5-0 because they played 5 straight bad teams. Guess what? Boise State's 5-0, but they squeaked by San Jose State, which is a crummy team. So, yeah. They might be playing crappy teams, but they're beating the living crap out of them.
Boise State in their conference wins. Let's see here. 77-53 over New Mexico. 89-52. 106-54 over San Jose. 87-86 over San Jose. And then 78-59 over Air Force last night.
Okay, so Utah State 107-62 over San Jose State in Game 1, 85-52 in Game 2, 83-48 versus Air Force, 72-53 in Game 2, and 77-45. So that's a winning margin of, make sure I got this right here. 45, right? 2-5, yeah, 45, 33, 35, 8, 19, and 32.
It's very comparable.
You can tell me they're playing crummy teams, and you're right. But again, 35, 33, 20, what is that? 35 again, 18 and 32. That's their winning margins right now. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's not their fault that they're 5-0 against crummy teams. The schedule came out the way it did, and that's who they got to play. They can't rearrange the schedule to make you think differently about what their 5-0 record looks like. They're the best team in the Mountain West Conference right now. Until someone beats them, they're the best team in the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, Boise and Utah State, their conference schedules are mirrors of each other. They're dominating the same teams by close to the same margins, with the lone exception of that game with San Jose State between the Spartans and the Broncos, which was San Jose State had that game won.
Yeah.
And then Alston made a late shot to win the game for him.
What team, I know we're speaking way ahead here, and Craig Smith would be absolutely livid with you and I if, as I ask this question, you answer it. Who scares you more, San Diego State or Boise State?
That's a good question.
Again, Smith is probably like about to rip his ears off if he's listening. But.
Both of them would give me cold sweats in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, Mitchell's a baller for San Diego State, and Derek Alston is very talented when he doesn't shoot himself out of a gym. It's a good basketball team. And they got that new transfer kid who just came in, and he looks pretty good. He had a pretty nifty layup last night, actually. Boise State terrifies me. I think Boise State's got so many more weapons right now. And by the way, does Boise State play San Diego State at all this year?
Yeah.
Do they do?
They play San Diego State. Let me pull up their
because
schedule.
I just think that matchup's going to be a little bit more comparable to what those two teams look like
At the very end of conference play.
It.
On
Would
February
you rather
25th and 27th.
Would you rather play someone early or late, like a San Diego State or a Boise State? Because Boise State's got Utah State and the Aztecs at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's true. That's a tough way to end.
Yeah.
4 straight that are tough matchups.
But you get Utah State at your place.
Yes, that's a big difference.
With no fans, though. I'm intrigued. And I love Utah State. I don't know if they sweep Boise State, and I don't know if they sweep San Diego State, but I like the idea. I like their chances of at least getting a split.
We need you to work your special powers and speak it.
No, because you know what?
Into existence.
No, because I got in trouble for speaking yesterday.
All right. Coming up next on the Full Court Press, there was another game of interest that some of us were keeping an eye on.
Do we have to talk about it?
Did not turn out the same.
I don't want to talk about it.
Utah Jazz fall to the Knicks.
Oh.
Jazz are struggling.
I told you guys.
A lot of inconsistency.
I told you, if you would have just believed me and trust me and followed the prophecy, You wouldn't feel so bad right now.
435-339-0321 if you want to weigh in on what happened with the Utah Jazz last night. Coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen. Thanks for tuning in, joining us wherever you may be, whether it's on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, the 106.9 The Fan mobile app, or if you're streaming us online, 1069thefan.com. Or it could be that you're hearing this after the fact on one of our podcasts.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us. Nice big win for the Utah State Aggies last night. Not the same story for the Utah Jazz. Started out okay. Jazz had a nice little lead in the first quarter. Built it up to an 18-point lead in the second. And then the last couple of minutes, New York starts to make a few adjustments, and they get on a little bit of a run to close out the half. Jazz go into halftime with still a lead. But then the third quarter, the Knicks came out on fire. The Jazz didn't know how to make any adjustments. Jazz lose the lead. They're able to claw back and keep it close. It's about anybody's game, and then Austin Rivers just could not miss. The last couple of minutes, the Jazz could not do anything to get the ball out of his hands or to stop him, and the Knicks win by 112 to 100. This is really concerning to me, Ajay, that this Jazz team continues to. They have this problem over these last couple of seasons now, where an opposing team's guard, if he gets hot, they cannot figure out how to stop him. They start cooking, and the Jazz just let him serve up whatever hot dish he wants. They just can't slow him down.
I told you it's a problem defensively for the Jazz. They continue to, and it's been a defensive issue. It was last night. It was the night before. It's going to be a problem Friday night when they get absolutely washed by the Bucks. To let a guy score 14 straight down the stretch in critical minutes, 14 straight. And I think a few of those shots, if I watched it correctly, Rivers didn't even have a hand in his face. He was taking a wide open jumper. I mean, it's just such bad defense.
Well, yeah, the rotations weren't bad. Were not good.
Oh, they were horrible.
Yeah, just like he'd run a screen and roll with Julius Randle, and there wasn't help. And so Royce gets pinned behind a big man. He has to find his way to get around him. And by the time he gets there, the shot's already on its way.
Jazz were up by 18. They were outscored 68-44 in the second half. They gave up near 70 points in the second half to the New York Knicks. Is this a starter's problem or a bench problem?
I think it's a starter's problem.
Thank you. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. I think Donovan Mitchell's had an issue too. Johnny Bryant's been known as one of the best development coaches, right? That's why the Knicks gave him an associate head coaching job. Do you think the loss of Johnny Bryant has hurt the development of Donovan Mitchell? Because I feel like we are taking 7 steps backwards with this guy this year.
I don't know if I'd say it's that dramatic.
Really? Dude, he's turning over the ball at a very extremely high rate. I mean, and it's bad turnovers. It's whip around passes to absolutely nobody there. It's going through the middle of a double team and getting the ball stripped away. It's forcing a pass into traffic. It's just bad decision making. I mean, what's going on here?
Jimbo Redding. Do you follow him on Twitter?
Yeah.
Always gives me a chuckle.
Love Jimbo.
Going into any Jazz game.
I love Jimbo.
He always has a suggestion for David Locke about something to yell out if somebody has a dunk.
My favorite is that if we lose tonight, then
yeah. He every time.
Yeah.
For every game, he's got one of those.
I haven't seen his last couple though.
Before the game last night, it was he always tags David Locke. And sometimes David Locke responds to these. It's kind of funny. He says, maybe if Donovan has a monster dunk tonight, you could yell, "Oh my, start spreading the news. Don's dunking today." IDK, just a thought. And then, not to be dramatic, but if the Utah Jazz don't win tonight, I'm going to go to the nearest gym, open the front doors, and yell, "Jordan, Mom's here. Let's go." So, kind of random stuff like that all the time. So, that's usually what he's most known for. Just funny stuff like that. But he actually, after the game, posted something that I thought was really quite intuitive.
Okay.
He says, "Look, I like Royce O'Neal, but sometimes I wonder if we think he's a good defender because we want him to be a good defender."
I'm so sick of being right. You always stick up for Royce O'Neal.
I know, I do.
And he's gotten worse and worse and worse. He can't score. He can't defend. We need to trade Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles for a 1 second-round pick. Because that's all they're worth to me. They're both bad.
Look, Royce's shot is starting to fall a little bit more. Earlier in the year, it wasn't at all.
Do you have his line by chance?
8 points.
That's not bad.
2 steals, 9 rebounds.
What was his minus? He had to be in the minus category, right?
Every starter was in the minus category.
Oh, see, look, that's wonderful.
He was minus 11. Of the starters, he was the best.
What?
Mike Conley was a minus 12. Boyan was a minus 16.
Oh.
Gobert was a minus 18, and Donovan Mitchell was a minus 20.
What was Gobert's line?
Gobert had 14 points, 5 blocks, 2 assists, 12 rebounds.
Yeah. Bogdanovic is starting to worry me too. What did he shoot?
He was only 2 of 10.
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. He's been bad the last couple games.
And he's wearing the brace on his wrist now.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. The transition defense is atrocious, by the way.
But Joe Ingles had his best game, I think, of the season.
Really? What was his line?
16 points, 3 assists, 2 boards.
What did he shoot?
He was 6 of 13 overall, 4 for 9 from beyond the arc.
Good. The transition defense is horrible. I mean, it's a jailbreak for the Knicks, and it's 3-on-1, 2-on-1, and it's just there's no one back. The defense has been atrocious. The Knicks scoring 112 points on you shouldn't happen against a team that's defensively caliber as the Utah Jazz, quote unquote. How do you fix it? Now you got to go play Giannis in the Bucks. How do you fix this?
I think it needs to start with defensive consistency, and I think that's where the problem has been. There's been some games where they're just not there. I don't know. I mean, the defense has probably been more consistent than the offense has been, but I think that if the Jazz can be consistently good on defense, the offense will take care of itself. Because you get transition buckets. You limit possessions for the other team. But I just don't think that this team, I don't know what's going on. They're just not quite there. Being as aggressive and as active as they need to be.
That's the thing is that once the Knicks cut it down to 4, that game was over. That game, the momentum was completely on the Knicks side. I mean, they just took over. Ball movement was better, sound defense, harassed Rudy Gobert inside the paint, made Donovan Mitchell give up the ball or force him into bad decision making. It's just once things go bad, this team just falls apart. This is what you get in a 6th to 9th place Western Conference team, though, Eric. This is what you get. This is what you see. This is not a top-tier Western Conference team like everybody wants to think so.
Well, look, it was the Jazz lost their lead, but then they were able to hang in there, and it was back and forth and back and forth. And then on a switch, Rudy Gobert is out on the 3-point line guarding Austin Rivers, and he chucks it up over Rudy with about 4 minutes to go, makes it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like a shot of adrenaline, and he's like, "Yeah, give me the ball. I'm gonna go do Austin Rivers things." And the Jazz are like, "Okay, you're Austin Rivers. You're not that great."
But there was a couple loose balls. I think.
But then he just wouldn't miss.
Well,
and
the
couldn't stop him.
the one that really hurt him was, I think it was a long rebound or might have been a
kicked
loose ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Austin Rivers retrieved it, went back into the paint, and hit a floater.
Right before the shot clock expired.
Yeah, took it from like a 3-point game to a 5-point game, I think, or 4-6, and it just it sunk the Jazz. Like loose balls going their way, getting beat to loose balls, or a bad bounce, or a bad call. Yeah, it just.
Well, then after Austin Rivers is making these crazy shots, and they're like working around, and they're milking the shot clock, and they're getting a good look. Jazz come down and just quickly chuck something up that seems rushed, and it's bad, and guys aren't in place to rebound. And then New York's back at it, moving the ball around, getting a good look, and Austin Rivers cooks.
And the key word you said is right back at it. They didn't wait. They weren't like, let's go take more time off the clock. It was run back and go and get another quick bucket. Like, just keep pushing the tempo on them. Because the Jazz were fatigued. Obviously, it's a back-to-back game. And the defense was just exhausted at that point. And, again, Eric, this is a 6th place to 9th place Western Conference team. This is what you're going to get. So, like, the whole idea of being the top-tier Western, like, that needs to go bye-bye. Get rid of it. That's not the Jazz. And that will not be the Jazz the rest of the season.
Well, the way they're playing now, yes, but they have the potential to still be there. They just got to be more consistent, and that's their problem.
It's always got to be something, right? It's always got to be, we just got to do this. We got to do this, or you're not going to get that.
They just need Donovan Mitchell to score 50 points a game, Ajay. I mean, come on, what's wrong with Donovan?
I love being a realistic Jazz fan.
Another time out here in the Full Court Press. Love to get your thoughts on Utah's fate currently as they're 4-4 on the young season. 435-339-0321 here on the Full Court Press.
This is Kevin Harlan from Westwood One. Join us for the NFL Super Wild Card Saturday tripleheader. First, Phillip Rivers and the Colts visit Josh Allen and the Bills. Then Russell Wilson and the Seahawks host Aaron Donald and the Rams. Finally, Chase Young leads Washington's defense against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If it's the NFL playoffs, it's right here.
Saturday's tripleheader begins at 10:30 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press. Big weekend, as you heard the tease there during the break. Big weekend for us here on The Fan. We're going to have all the divisional football games, or wild card games, going on this weekend. Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be all NFL playoffs. Wow. It's going to be a lot of fun here. We've got some of the best in radio play-by-play calling these games.
That's going to be really cool to listen to.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So as you're out and about Saturday, Sunday, make sure you keep your radio dialed in here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. And there's some great matchups this weekend. And we'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Look forward to that, yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming
I bet
up.
you have Taysom Hill leading the Saints to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
What do we got?
Look at this. We got like
why are you here?
A lot of presents coming in.
We're on air. I'm busy.
We just got a bunch of stuff that's coming in here. Candy.
You know what? You were mean to me. Give me that back.
Reese's Dark Buttercups.
You made me cry today.
Squirt.
I want that back. You got Squirt?
Banana cream pie. Wow, look at that. Look at all these fudges.
How come?
Or caramels. Look at that. Wow. Thanks for all you do. Love, hugs and kisses. Miss you. Just kidding. Doesn't say all that. But it does say thanks for all you do from the missus. Well, it's very sweet of her, Ajay. Did you know that was happening today?
No. Why is she? Give me that back. You made me cry today.
Yeah, you know what? I need to thank your mom, Mama Salvesen.
Yeah.
You gave me some treats from Mama Salvesen.
I spoil you and you make me cry today.
In a leftover cookie tin, but they were delicious.
Feel bad. I want all my treats back.
Wow, that was very sweet of Mrs. Ringmaster. It's very sweet.
Ringmaster.
Is she Mrs. Ringmaster? Is that what you call her?
I would better than Mrs. Deflator.
All right. And coming up next hour.
You asked for that. So
coming up next hour, we'll get into our pick six.
And by the way, Jay Billis has the top 68 teams. He has the Aggies listed.
Ooh, juicy. So we'll reset what happened with the Aggies and the Lobos last night. Stick around. It's coming up on the Full Court Press.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
What's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, streaming on the 106.9 The Fan mobile app, or streaming online, 1069thefan.com. And we just had a nice treat here.
Calm down. Okay, you make me cry this morning, and now you want to kiss up to her just because she brought you the wrong kind of chocolate.
She didn't bring me the wrong kind of anything.
Yeah, you're not a dark chocolate guy.
Yeah, sure I am. I got dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cups.
You know how gross that is?
Oh, that's going to be delicious.
Yeah, until you go to the
bathroom.
plate
of caramels and like a banana cream pie. The only question I have is, why did she give me a squirt? Did she get that wrong? Was that supposed to go to you?
I don't know, because I got a Mountain Dew Zero.
It has my name on it, but I thought squirt. If any one of us is going to get that one, it's not me in this room.
I'm not saying a word.
No, but thank you. That was very nice.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you, Mrs. Ringmaster.
Didn't ask for it and I didn't want it, but thank you.
It's the gift you didn't know you needed.
No, I don't need it. Jeez. Hi, Eric. We talked about in the first hour. Again, welcome to our wonderful listeners. If you want to text in, love to hear your thoughts. 435-339-0321. Text in. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the Aggies, who are now 5-0 in conference play. Which ties their best start since 2012-13, when they went 5-0 and then lost to New Mexico State in the WAC. Got just throttled by the New Mexico State Aggies. And so, it's a chance to be able to be 6-0 and have the best start since 02-03 when the Aggies went undefeated in Big West Conference play. We obviously don't know how the end of that season went, but Eric, we talked about in the first hour. We'll talk about it again. Namish Keta is just continually doing great things.
I'm so pleased with where he's at. And what he has done is he has really stepped up his defensive presence. He could still be more aggressive and going to the hole and forcing the issue offensively a little bit. But he has a nice touch around the basket. He's got nice handles for a guy his size. He's seeing the floor and can dish it out to the open man. But what he's doing defensively this year has taken him to another level. I mean, multiple blocks a night. How many games have we seen so far this season where it's at least 3 or 4 blocks a game?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And 5 last night. We've seen multiple games like that. It's unreal, the type of defensive presence he has. And then because of that, there are things that don't show up in a stat sheet in his favor because all the shots that get changed or affected are guys who were going to go to the paint and then back it out because Keta's in there.
Yeah, it's crazy they shot 0 of 8 to start the game, and I think their first 3 shots were in the paint. I think 2 of those were blocked pretty quickly, and they realized that's not working. We're gonna have to do something different. He's a problem. He's such a problem for anybody as a guard. I think they'll be challenged. I think they'll be challenged by San Diego State. You're going to see how good San Diego State is here, or how good the Aggies' defensive, both perimeter and front court is coming up next Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm really pleased with how Utah State defensively, they're taking a lot of pride in their defense, just making it really difficult for their opponents in conference play to get going, and to really make them second guess a lot of things that they're trying to do. 18 turnovers by New Mexico. Utah State also killed it on the boards, 41 compared to 29. This New Mexico team has done a really good job of out-rebounding their opponents coming into this game. But Utah State just like, nope, not against us.
They have out-rebounded every opponent this season. And it's the 9th game that they've had this season. So we are 7-3. So out of the 10 games, 9 games, they've had at least double-digit offensive rebounds. That's incredible.
Well, the 3 key stats that jump out at me every game is who won the rebounding battle, who won the turnover battle, and who had more assists, team assists. That illustrates the type of activity that's going on. Utah State had 41 to their 29 rebounds. Utah State had 16 to their 5 assists, and the Aggies only had 15 turnovers to their 18. And a lot of those turnovers by the Aggies were later in the game when it was more garbage time, your second, third units in there get some extra time. So, just I really like where this team is at.
Yeah.
We talk about where does this team go from here? How do they improve? Look, we've seen in each instance the first game against San Jose, Air Force, and New Mexico, wide margins of blowouts. The second games, Utah State still handled their opponents, but they were closer each time. San Jose State was closer in the second game. Air Force was second in the second game, and we should all anticipate that Friday's game will be closer. New Mexico will make some adjustments. They'll try to be better about their ball handling and their movement and try to counter what Nimi does in the post, because their team, there really weren't very many effective guys anywhere on the court for New Mexico.
No, not at all.
And they're going to have some pride. They don't want to get blown out like that in 2 straight games.
They may not have any control over it, though.
Well,
like the way the Aggies team is playing, you may not. I mean, you can go out there and play your best game, but if the Aggies play their best game, you're still going to get throttled. You walk off the court and you're like, I don't know what else you want us to do. We still played a great basketball game. Like Air Force in Game 2 still played pretty dang well and lost by, or I guess in Game 1 it might have been, and still lost by 18. 2965 texted in and asked about the 3-ball from the Aggies, which was really good. What did we shoot from 3?
I don't know if I'd say it was really good. That was one thing I said. I don't mean to nitpick, but it would be nice to see a little bit better 3-point
What did they shoot, Eric?
They were 4 of 16.
Okay, that's not great. And who had how many did Brock Miller have?
Brock was 1 of 5. Marco was 1 for 1. Alfonso was 1 for 1. And Barista was 1 of 3. So those are the guys who made threes. Worcester put up an attempt and missed. Vudashev put up an attempt and missed, of course. And Max Shulga put up an attempt. Ashworth was 0 for 3. He was 0 for 6 shooting overall. All the points he got were at the line. Not a good shooting night for Stephen Ashworth by any means.
8739 text in and says, skip the jazz talk. Let's talk high school wrestling. Look at the 4A rankings. 4 of the top 5 are from Region 11. Of course, MC's at number 2. Ridgeline and Green Canyon tie at 3, and Bear River's at 5. Boy, oh boy.
Hey, you know what was cool? There was a girls wrestling match last night at Ridgeline High School, and we had a photographer there and shot it, documented it for Cache Valley Daily.
Is it on the Cache Valley Daily website?
Yeah.
I need to read that. That's cool.
Check out the photos.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for Ridgeline. That's pretty awesome.
Well, it was a Region 11 meet, so there were girls from all the high schools in the region.
That's pretty awesome. I don't know a lot about girls wrestling, if I'm going to be honest with you. I hope they're succeeding. But in regards of boys wrestling, MC still the cream of the crop. They've had a great schedule. I know they had to quarantine for a while, and so they were out of command. I mean, but they were going to face teams like Viewmont. They were going to face teams. I think Uinta. I think had to be postponed or canceled. And they had another one where they had 3 really good opponents set up, and then had to push those aside because of COVID issues. But I think MC's still the cream of the crop of the 4A. They've got 10 returning kids who I think could be state finalists, and that's not an exaggeration. Ridgeline is another team, great talent. I'd love to see what they can do in region duels. Green Canyon's a young team. I would say they're young, but I don't know if they have they're in the tier of what Mountain Crest is. If any of those teams are in the tier of where Mountain Crest is, and I say that with all due respect, but MC's still a team to beat and will be for the rest of the year.
According to WrestleUtah.com, who's got rankings for the wrestling teams throughout the state, regardless of classification, Mountain Crest is number 1. Box Elder is number 3 on their list, regardless of classification.
Wait, you say MC was 1 and
MC's
Box
number
Elder's
1,
3?
Box Elder's number 3, Bear River is number 18, Ridgeline number 23. This was as of the first of the year.
Okay, yep.
So that's just looking at the top 25 overall. Mountain Crest, regardless of classification, they put them at number 1.
And we talked to Jay Tovey last week.
Tovey,
thank you, dude. I'm gonna keep doing that.
I know.
But it's really impressive that with as young of kids as he has freshmen and sophomores who can make some noise going into that state tournament. And and the Richard Memorial Tournament's coming up. That's one of the most prestigious tournaments, not just in the state, but in the western side of the country. Like that Richardson Memorial Tournament is just an awesome atmosphere with great elite wrestling from all over the state of Utah. And Mountain Crest has been more often than not very successful in those tournaments. And you talk about, again, a returning class full of state finalists, semifinalists, just a chuck full of them at their disposal. They can make do some heavy damage and make a lot of noise in this thing. And again, I think Ridgeline will be up there. I think Ridgeline's going to be the one competitor to Mountain Crest for that Region 11 crown. I think Green Canyon and Bear River could hang in there, but they're not as deep as Ridgeline. They're not as deep as Mountain Crest. But I'd say, it's going to be some fun when region duels come up soon. So good text from you, 8739. Appreciate you.
And I'm looking through the individual ranks for the girls, their power poll that they put together.
Okay.
And there's a number of Region 11 girls on this list based on different weight classifications. Mountain Crest has a couple. Ridgeline has a couple. So, best of luck to all the wrestlers. It really starts to ramp up now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when deals come through, and we'll keep an eye on it come February, I believe, is when the state tournament kind of gets closer. We'll keep an eye on it and see where both boys and girls are at and keep you all updated. Hey, going back to Utah State, if I may, Jay Billis, Eric, he put together his top 68 teams right now based on just performance and who they're playing and, margin, I guess, winning margin and such. It's he calls it the Billustrator, I believe. And so he has San Diego State in there at, make sure I don't lie to you. I gotta look for now. I just had, by the way, BYU's at 58. Boise State's at 59. St. Mary's is at 57. San Diego State's at 43. And at 55 is the Utah State Aggies. He says, quote, like San Diego State, Utah State is a Mountain West team that was tough to get an early read on after losing a stand-up player in Sam Merrill. But the early returns in league play have been good for Craig Smith's crew, and 7-footer Nemish Keta presence will continue to be trouble for everyone the Aggies face. Eric, 68 teams. Do you feel like Utah State is one of those best 68 right now?
That would put them as a tournament team.
Yes, it would.
Joe Lunardi's bracketology still only has 2 Mountain West teams. San Diego State is a 7 seed, and they're dropping, and Boise State as an 11 seed, and they're holding steady.
They have San Diego State as a 7 seed? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Boise has a much better net ranking.
Yeah, kind of mind boggles me right now, actually.
I think San Diego State has the better non-conference resume.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough.
Based on name recognition, but net rankings.
Hey, asking about Nemish Keta, has he put himself in the NBA draft conversation, or do we feel like, I mean, Sam Merrill was one of the better guards in the country, and he was the last pick in the NBA draft. Does Amish Keta still have a chance to get drafted in the NBA, or is he going to be after the fact and free agent contract thing?
It's tough to compare them apples to apples because the position that Sam plays, there are a lot more players at that position.
Are big men still wanted, though?
Yeah, I think if you're a big man that can do multiple things, if you're just a lumbering big guy that fills up the paint, that used to be if you were big and you had some weight on you, and you could get up and down the floor, that was your ticket to a first-round draft pick and millions of dollars. Yes, the NBA has changed significantly, but look, you still need an active big guy. I mean, look what Jared Allen did the night before for the Nets. Nimi reminds me a lot of that kind of a player. Just thinner, lengthy, but is active and athletic.
That's a good point. I wonder because Nimi still doesn't have an outside jump shot. I know he's kind of working on it, but his range is still pretty limited. His passing's gotten so much better. You brought that up, and I couldn't agree more. His defense is really, really good. But I don't know if the NBA wants a big man whose range is limited like Keta's is.
I agree. I think it would help him if he could illustrate that he can, on occasion, hit an outside shot and be a stretch 5. Because that's the way it's going. Teams need everybody on the court who can handle the ball and have the potential to shoot from the outside.
And then Jay Billis, he doesn't have him in the 6 mid-major stars. He has Marcus Williams of Wyoming on that list right now. But
he doesn't have Alston Jr. on there?
No, he does not, surprisingly.
Wow.
Looking at the 6 surprises, he doesn't have a Power 5 guy in there right now either. So
a group of 5?
Oh, a group of 5, sorry.
Yeah. Major. I guess we should.
Hey, and then
for basketball.
If they approve the role of, well, I guess when they approve the role of the one-time transfer role, that you're eligible immediately, does Utah State get picked apart? That Power 5s come screaming for Raleigh, and if Nemish does come back for one more year, that a Power 5 does come after Nemi, or do you think we're going to be all right?
That's so individual. It's hard to know. I mean, that is certainly the fear by every mid-major.
Every
program.
mid-major's got, it's a good point.
I mean, I think it's a legitimate fear, but
and then that likeness rule. Yeah, I think that
Seneca Knight today announcing he's going to. Well, he didn't announce it, but it's been determined through interviews that he's going to LSU. He just announced just the other day, like last week, that
Seneca
he's leaving
Knight's
San
going
Jose.
to LSU. And
he's going to LSU now.
Holy smokes! Jeez, yeah, that's man. Oh, I'm sorry, Spartans. Just can't catch a break this year. Oh, that's rough.
Speaking of the Spartans, not their basketball team, but their football team, they're like stuck.
Yeah.
They're like, got a bunch of players.
13 kids.
Haven't been able to get home from the bowl game yet.
13 kids tested positive. That's bad. I feel bad, man. That football team had such a great season and then had such a rough ending to it. You had your defensive coordinator was out. Your offensive coordinator was out. They got kids quarantining. Like, what a rough way to end the season. After
so those guys are still stuck in Tucson. The bowl game was over a week ago.
Yeah. That's, well, hopefully you make it home for New Year's this upcoming year.
Hey,
go ahead.
Just real quickly, getting back to basketball in the Mountain West.
Yep.
This is something that we'll keep an eye on throughout the season. These net rankings, they change every day because games happen every day. Utah State has moved up a little bit. They're up to 82, which, it'd be great if that was higher, but next week's games will have an effect on that. But the other teams above them in the Mountain West either haven't moved or have slipped. Colorado State is is at 41. San Diego State is at 32. Though earlier it was Colorado State was ahead of San Diego State, so I guess the Aztecs did move up a little bit. And then Boise State, they're at 12. And that still just blows my mind why they're ranked so high.
You know Boise?
Yeah. Why they're so high in the net rankings.
What is the net ranking? What are they looking at? Are they looking at just strength of schedule? Help me out with the net ranking.
They put you teams in different quadrants based on where you're currently ranked. And so how'd you do at home? How'd you do on the road? What'd you do in a neutral site? They look at your overall record. And then they call these quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4. So based on where a team might be ranked in this system, if you beat a team in these different quadrants, that shows where you're at. That will help boost you or drop you. So they segment this big list of teams into 4 quadrants. And so for Utah State, they have they're 0-1 against teams in this quad 1. So they're 0-1 against what you would consider a good team. They're 0-2 against teams in the second quadrant, which are teams that are okay, mediocre, but they're okay. They haven't played anybody considered in quad 3, and they're 7-0 in quad 4.
Wow. And then
so all their wins are against bad teams.
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to get a win against a good or a semi-good team.
Did they lose
yet.
to BYU?
Utah State?
Oh, sorry, Utah State. I thought you were talking about Boise State. Yeah, sorry, Utah State. Yeah, no, that's true. They lost to BYU. Probably should have won that one.
And I think that's what really helps Boise is they got that.
Would VCU count as a good win?
VCU, let me see where they're at. Yeah, they're 25.
Jeez. They're 25?
Yeah.
Gosh, dang it.
And BYU.
And we got smoked by them.
BYU is 52. So that would have been a good win for Utah State. So their chances to get good wins, it's not like it's out of the woods that they can't get other good wins.
Yeah.
They still have Colorado State, Boise State, and San Diego State on the schedule that could get them quad 1 victories. But out of conference, they missed some opportunities there.
Got to split too. I mean, you can't go 0-2 against any of those teams. It's gonna hurt.
At the very least.
Yeah, at the very least. Okay, so let's do it. 2, 4, 6 games. I'll set the over/under at. Who'd you say? Boise State, San Diego State, and who was the other one you said?
Colorado State.
Okay. And then I'll set the over/under at 3. No. I'll set the over/under at 4.5. 4, actually. I'll say 4.
So of the 6 games they would play against Boise State, San Diego State, and Colorado State, you're setting the line at 4 wins.
Yep.
Oof, that's a really good.
I'm almost taking even. Almost just going to push.
I probably would go with the push. I think that's a good.
4's good, and 4's
number.
not bad, right? You go 4-2. You split with San Diego State, and you split with Boise. That's your hope. You sweep Colorado State, split with the other 2. That gives you 4-2. That's not horrible.
2787 text in. It's because it's Boise, Eric, and they just win.
Well, they do. That's
Especially in their
It's
place.
not fault, yeah. Especially in the football situation's kind of getting intriguing the day after day after day, but
That's why they have that high net ranking, just because they're Boise. And they just win.
hey, they do it to Duke. They give Duke all the love they want, even when it's clearly not. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'll push. I'll say 4. I just don't think. Would I love to sweep San Diego State? Absolutely, because then that gives you a little bit of buffer in case something goes wrong the rest of the year. If you sweep Boise, that gives you a buffer. You got it. That'd be great. It gives you a little bit of room to breathe. I'd rather sweep Boise than San Diego State, though. If I had to choose one. Boy, that's going to be tough, though. I'm glad that they're far apart. I'm glad we got San Diego State next week, then Boise at the end of the year.
Well, yeah, but it's San Diego State followed by Colorado State.
Yeah.
The only saving grace there is that all 4 of those games are in Logan.
Do you think Colorado State's as good as... I mean, because you remember the last 2 years, I think, was it 2 years ago? They were like on a 7-game winning streak, feeling really good about themselves. And then all of a sudden, like, they came into our house and we smoked them. I think that was the game where Nemias had that coast-to-coast dunk over Carvacho. He looked really bad dribbling that ball down the court, too. But he got the dunk.
Colorado State, they beat Fresno handily in their 2 games, and then they split with San Diego State in San Diego. So, I think that Boise State, San Diego State stand above Colorado State. But they're a team to be reckoned with. Especially after coming back from being down 26 points in San Diego. Can't overlook a team like that. Yeah. But Utah State, they take on New Mexico tomorrow night. Don't forget the time is changed on that game.
Thank goodness.
Not as late.
7 o'clock. And it's on FS1.
FS1.
That's fun.
So that means the pregame coverage for Al Lewis and Jalen Moore will begin at 6 on our sister station KVNU with a full 1-hour pregame. They always do a great job breaking it down. It's always great to get Jalen's perspective.
Yeah, he's actually pretty... I haven't got a chance to listen to him too much, but when I do, man, he's got some great stories too. Like, because he has some good memories. I never told a story about playing at Air Force. He's told a good story about playing at San Jose State. His experiences and how he uses the stories are awesome. Really, like, if you honestly get a chance to listen to the pregame, do it. And I love Al, but Jalen, it was really fun to listen to.
Yeah, it's fun to get his perspective. And then as soon as the game is over, they'll be back on the air again with John Russell, breaking it down where you can weigh in and chime in on it. The only Aggie postgame allows the fans to interact.
Join in. Yeah, that's so cool. Like, if you're frustrated about the game or you have thoughts or you're excited, like, utilize that opportunity to call into Al and John and express your thoughts. And they aren't going to, cut you off. They aren't going to tell you, like, oh, we need to go. Or they're not going to ignore your phone call. They're going to take it, they're going to listen to you, and they're going to analyze your thoughts on it. And it's really, really fun. I hope you Aggie fans take advantage of listening to them on KVNU.
All right, we're going to call a timeout here on the Full Court Press. When we come back, it's pick 6 time, Ajay.
I don't want to play. I already gave you a treat for the week
anyway. Man, I got way loaded up today.
So I don't owe you next week if I lose,
Between you and Mrs. Ringmaster, I'm going to be set.
Quit calling her Mrs. Ringmaster. If I don't owe her. I don't owe you anything next week.
You owe her a lot.
I do not.
She is so sweet.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
That she puts this together and brings it in. A nice little note.
My note said, hey.
You would never do that.
You got chores when you got home. So I don't know what note you're talking about.
I'm gonna enjoy my squirt here during the break. Pick 6 time is coming up next to the Full Court Press.
You really
enjoying my squirt over here.
You gonna drink it or not? You know what you're gonna do? And you know what you're gonna do? I was nice enough to bring you a drink today, and you probably looked at it and said, "Oh, it's 240 calories." Trashing it. You probably threw it away, didn't you?
No, I'm saving that for later.
I'm checking your garbage can tomorrow.
Yeah, ruby red squirt. It's delicious.
That sounds so fattening.
That sounds fattening?
Yeah.
Ruby red squirt?
Yeah, it's like 600 calories.
Thirst quencher. It's naturally flavored with citrus and berry. Thanks to the Mrs. Ringmaster for bringing that in. It's pick 6 time, Ajay.
I don't want to play.
Why?
Because
It's fun.
It's fun?
It's sport.
It's a sport? The sport. All right.
We invite you to play along.
Yes.
Shout it out at your radio. How would you vote when we talk about the 6 things we think might happen this weekend?
Yes. Solid beans.
And because, the Mrs. Ringmaster brought in such amazing treats, I think you should go first. Well, I'll give you the decision. If you want to go first, or do you want to defer?
You mean because I brought in such amazing treats earlier today, I get to go first?
Between what Mrs. Ringmaster did
Why does
and
she
Mama
have to be
Ringmaster.
involved?
Mama Ringmaster brought in some really nice treats, too.
Oh, man,
in
that's
one of your
good.
leftover cookie tins.
If I get called the ringmaster in a public place, you're going to get it. I'm telling you right now, there will be heck to pay. Okay, I'll go first. My man, Tom Brady and my Buccaneers going up against the Washington football team. The line is at 8 right now, Eric, for Tampa Bay. I'm going to readjust that line and set it at 12.5. Over, under.
Tampa Bay over Washington by 8?
12.5.
12.5. Ooh. I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over. Tom Brady has been here, done that. Cold weather doesn't matter. He's got the talent around him. I think they're going to be ready to go. And Chase Young's comments about Tom Brady, he'll use them.
The game's in Washington. Alex Smith is a winner under center this season.
He's a winner under center
Washington.
this season in his 4 games.
5. Doesn't he have 5 wins?
I don't know, but Tom Brady has 11. 6:15 on NBC at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland.
Washington, and here on the Fan.
Yeah, oh yes, on here on the Fan. Another game I'm looking forward to is Ravens and Titans. This will be in Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee on Sunday, also here on the Fan. Derrick Henry's rushing yards versus the Ravens. I'm going to set it at 120 and a half yards. Over, under.
120 and a half.
Yeah.
Against the Ravens.
Yep.
Man, that guy's a beast. That's a good line.
That Ravens defense.
Ravens defense
has been mediocre but good against the run.
Yeah. I'm going to take the under.
Gosh dang, I was trying to get you. I'm going to take the under too. And then finally, our wonderful Jazz versus the dominant Bucks. Bucks by 13.5. Over, under. No, let's go. Yeah, it was 13.5. Sorry, I'll leave it at 13.5. Over, under.
I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over.
I still hold out faith. The Jazz will figure it out.
Good for you.
Okay, I'm looking at this game for another reason in one of my pick 6.
Okay.
Sam Merrill. Points against the Jazz. 5.5. Over or under?
Sam Merrill points against the Jazz. Ooh, that's good. And you said it at 5?
5.5.
Son of a biscuit. I'm going to say under.
Okay, I'm going to take the over. There's some question about Pat Connaughton's availability. They may need Sam to play more minutes.
Pat didn't play last night.
Okay. Utah State at New Mexico tomorrow night.
Yep.
Aggies in double figures against the Lobos.
Crap.
4.5.
Oh.
Over or under?
Oh. Under. You know you want to go under, do it. You'd be dumb to go over.
They usually have 4 in double figures.
But you said it at 4.5.
Pretty consistently.
Might have outdone yourself on that one.
Okay, I'm going to take the under.
There you go. Just trying to help you out.
Okay, last one for me. I think the game of the weekend in the NFL is in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
The Rams at the Seahawks.
Okay.
Seahawks, it's the closest Vegas line and of all the games, and I think it's for good reason. And so Seahawks over the Rams by 3.5 points.
Over. No Jared Goff. He may not be playing.
He's been upgraded.
The questionable, right?
Yeah, he says he's working on being available.
Dude, even 100% Goff still sucks. So 50% Goff ain't going to work either. I'm taking the over.
I'm going to take the over as well. I should have said it more aggressive.
I know. When you said 3.5, I was like, oh, that's easy. That's all you got. 6843. Sam has been out with a bum ankle. Will he play against the Jazz? He did not play last night. He was not even listed last. He didn't dress last night either. I've been hearing that he is probable against Utah on Friday, tomorrow night. We'll see if that still stands true. I know they want him in the lineup because Pat Connaughton is out tomorrow night versus Utah, and they want an extra shooter. J. Rue Holiday's been really good for them, but they want an extra guard shooter. And so, we'll see.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, he's probable tomorrow is what I've seen. So,
the Jazz, they did issue an injury report.
His Favors out because he had right pinky soreness.
And
he's
got knee soreness.
Oh my gosh.
But there's a couple. Joe Ingles might miss.
Well, Joe Ingles
is listed as questionable with a sore right Achilles.
Well, Joey's been sore, and Joe has been listed.
He is the NBA Iron Man.
Oh, he is not.
He's played more consecutive games than anybody else currently in the NBA.
And you know what? He's been the least productive guy of any of.
Look, I think he heard what you said the other night, and he came out and played really well for him last night in New York.
Wow. Let's see if
I'm tired of that Ajay Salvesen.
Let's see if he can do it 2 games in a row. Let's see if he can do it 2 games. That's what we call a consecutive good game.
Derek Favors is probable with right knee soreness. Gerald Brantley is out. He's not with the team. Juwan Morgan is out for health and safety protocols.
Trent Forrest could be dressed again, man. Okay. Yeah, look, Joe Ingles has been questionable the whole entire year. He's been questionable the last year and a half. So, no surprise there.
I think Mrs. Ringmaster needs to send a treat basket to Joe Ingles just to say, hey, appreciate what you do.
Hey, appreciate for you not getting 16 points in one game and giving up 45 points on the other side.
Maybe he just needs to feel a little love, and he's tired of all the negativity from the Ringmaster.
All the negativity? He needs a little love? Seen as never mind. Yeah, Joe Ingles looks like he needs to retire. I'm just not seeing it in him. It's bothering me. I'm more bothered. Okay.
Dude, the Jazz need to mix up their lineup and give
Joe a start? Yes. I take Royce O'Neal out.
Joe Ingles has been traditionally much more effective as a starter than a bench guy.
Why do you think that is, by the way? Is that just a mental thing or what?
It could be a mental thing. It could be just that. And I think Royce maybe a little more effective leading the second unit defensively. But do the Jazz give Shaq Harrison more minutes?
I think they should be giving him Shaq Harrison more minutes.
Just say, hey, look, you're known as a defensive guy. Let's see what you can do. Can you do any better than Royce has been doing? Because it's like the Jazz team have just yielded the toughest defensive assignment to Royce O'Neal, and like, it's you, man. It's all on you. We're just going to kind of keep close to our guys, but it's all on you.
Yeah.
And so they're like kind of laying out and not all in as a team. It's just like, oh, yeah, we got Royce. He'll just take care of us. And if Royce can't handle it,
which he hasn't,
then the opposing team's guard just gets cooking and Jazz can't slow him down.
Do you... Yeah, so maybe you put Joe in the starting lineup. You take Royce out and see if Royce can do better off the bench. I think Shaq Harrison needs more minutes. I feel like that might help. I would say, do you? I wouldn't say limit Donovan Mitchell's minutes, but maybe limit more touches. Because he is a turnover machine. I know, you give me that look.
No.
But he's a turnover machine. He's costing you more possessions than he's helping you. Bad turnovers. We paid this guy $175 million to go turn over the ball 5 times a game, 6 times a game.
He had 4 turnovers last night.
He's playing like Dante Exum.
Whoa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa.
By the way,
went there?
How bad do you feel for Dante Exum right now?
I don't feel bad. Where is he? Is he even on an NBA roster?
Tore his Achilles. Just tore his Achilles with the Cavaliers.
When?
A week ago?
Did he really? Oh, well, I do feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Now.
I was like, when you said no, I was like, what the fet's your problem? I was just like, holy crap, man.
Brutal.
What's going on? I'd probably put you in a bad place there, though, too.
Donovan Mitchell had 4 turnovers last night, 3 against the Nets.
He had 3 against the Nets. But
Yep.
what did he shoot? 10 to 22 against the Nets, right? I think he shot
10 of 22.
What did he shoot last night?
You had to ask that after I clicked out.
You always do.
I always do that.
Because
Last night he was 8 of 23.
oh my gosh, you can't do that.
Oof, yeah. He does have a tendency to feel like he has to put the team on his back. Sometimes that works great and it helps the team, but there are other times where he just doesn't have it and he keeps getting in the air and in bad spots and then tries to kick the ball out or do a little too much. It's hard. You got to trust your team, but if your team's not hitting, you have the ability, you got to go to work. I think it's just part of his maturity and growth as a player. He'll get there.
Okay.
He better get there. With all the money they're spending and committed to him.
Exactly. And you think that this team, Eric, let me ask you confidence-wise and be honest with me. Do you think that the Jazz is still a top 4 team will finish in the top 4?
Yes. Look, every year they've had slow starts early in the year, and then they've turned it on and been dominant at certain stretches for long stretches during the regular season. There are times where the last couple of years they're a little bit slow early on in the season. And we all start wringing our hands and pulling our hair like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And then it starts to get dialed in. That's how it's been the last 3, almost 4 years.
Yeah, I think the second half of the season, for whatever reason, treats them a lot better than the first half, and maybe they make a push. But Golden State's starting to play better basketball. They competed with the Clippers pretty well last night. They're still sitting, I think, 6th in the West. There's teams that are going to be getting better as the season goes on. Jazz might be one of those teams. The question is it going to be too little, too late?
That final Clippers beat them 108-101. But you're right.
That game was tied with
Golden State
2 minutes
was
left.
in that game for a big chunk of it. Most of it. All right, going to call another timeout here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, there's a busy day tomorrow. A lot of things that are going on. We'll, again, remind you when to follow the Aggies. Jazz are playing. We got high school games. We got a bunch of NFL games this weekend. It's a busy weekend, and it starts tomorrow. We'll let you know what's on the calendar and how it's going to happen, how you can follow along. That's coming up next.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press. Utah State men's basketball, they play tomorrow. They take on New Mexico in Lubbock, Texas. I didn't get a chance, I told you this, I didn't get a chance to watch much of the game last night for Utah State. I monitored it and kept my eye on it, but I wasn't able to watch it. Did they allow fans in that arena where they were? Do you know?
Where?
In Lubbock, Texas?
No fans are allowed.
Okay. So there would not have been a Matt Wells sighting then at the game.
He was there.
He was there.
He was there. Yep.
Just not as a fan, as in a.
Yeah, I don't know if he would be going as a fan. I don't know if he
Official
wanted to be going to Lubbock,
capacity.
Texas, cheering for Utah State when you're in Lubbock. And I guess it wouldn't matter because New Mexico is New Mexico, so maybe you are cheering for Utah State. That's your former school. Yeah, he was there.
Oh, cool. That's good. Let's see. 5763 texts in. Can someone find out if Exum had missed more games due to injury than games actually played?
Yes, that is true.
He seems to be made of glass,
Yeah.
so fragile.
Yeah, he's missed more games than he's played in his career,
That's really sad.
which is really
actually.
unfortunate.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah. And I remember, I think, because when Tyrone Corbin was here and they had Exum, I think Tyrone Corbin had a little bit more of a lengthier leash on Exum, gave him more freedom to run and move and do what he wanted to do. When Quinn came in, he just chopped that leash in half and said, I'm gonna watch you closely, and didn't like what he was seeing for the most part. Didn't feel like he was adjusting well. Didn't feel like he was defensively in the right spots. I mean, and then you'd see Exum go out there. I think we talked about this when Exum was here. You know, Exum would play for 4 or 5 minutes, make a couple mistakes, and get pulled and be out the rest of the game. I think it was the Memphis game when they were in Memphis, and Exum made a mistake. Quinn kind of got after him. Exum came back and tried to fix that mistake, but still made an incorrect rotation, and Quinn pulled him. And Exum's coming off the floor and said, "What do you want me to do?" And then Quinn didn't even look at him. And so I think there was a short leash, and that really didn't give Exum the mobility. But I don't know who to blame. I mean, do you blame Snyder because he's not giving a lengthier leash to Exum, or do you blame Exum because he just wasn't getting it? And that's tough. And so
It's tough. But Jazz got Jordan Clarkson out of it.
and see, Dante, I appreciate what you were able
Best
to do.
midseason trade ever?
Oh my goodness.
Was Jeff Hornacek a midseason trade?
Maybe. I don't know. Was Jeff Hornacek because he was in Phoenix, right? When he came here?
Oh, was he in Phoenix? I thought he was in Philadelphia.
No
He
way.
might have been in Phoenix.
Was he playing for he wasn't playing for the Sixers, was he? Best
I think you're right. I think he was in Phoenix.
I was going to say, I think he was in Phoenix because he came here in 94, right? Was it 94? We still had David Benoit, Felton Spencer.
It was in the middle of the season.
What year?
93-94 season.
Okay.
Trade deadline deal from Philadelphia. So that's probably the biggest mid-season trade ever.
For the Jazz?
For the Jazz.
I can't remember a lot. They haven't made a lot of mid-season trades, have they?
Not a lot. Jazz traded Jeff Malone. That's right. And a future first rounder.
For Jeff Malone?
Mm-hmm.
That was a great trade.
Yeah. I remember liking Jeff Malone, but he was limited.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Malone was nothing compared to that.
Hornacek helped change the Jazz future to get them to he was
Spread
that
the
missing
court.
piece that got them to the NBA Finals. That consistent outside shooting threat. Yeah, it's too bad about Dante Exum. I didn't know about him tearing his Achilles. I feel bad. That's too bad. But yeah, that is a guy who's had more time on the bench or in physical rehab than he has on a court. And it's too bad. So tomorrow, Utah State takes on New Mexico, 7 o'clock on FS1. Pre-game coverage for KVNU game day begins at 6 with Al Lewis and Jalen Moore. We got several high school games going on tomorrow. And then the last some makeup games are happening this weekend and early next. And then region play gets started next Friday. And next week we'll do a lot more of kind of a preview and break down what's going on with high school basketball and region play. But a busy NFL weekend, those playoff games, a triple header here on the Fan on Saturday and then another triple header on Sunday. We'll have those playoff games here on The Fan. Tomorrow night, Utah Jazz play at Milwaukee, but because Skyview plays tomorrow, we will not have that Jazz coverage. But the Jazz are at Milwaukee. Ajay, you think that the Bucks are going to just run away from the Jazz?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? We lost to the Knicks. And I can guarantee you the Bucks are a lot more talented than the Knicks.
Yeah, but Knicks aren't bad. They're having a good season. They're having a bit of a renaissance.
This ought to be good. Can't
Milwaukee is favored by 5.5.
Okay.
And you're saying it's going to be more than 12.5.
Yeah. Well, what makes you think it won't? Austin Rivers put up 14 straight against them.
I still believe in the Jazz.
I mean, oh my gosh.
They'll make their adjustments. It'll be Rudy versus Giannis. That'll be the defensive assignment. That'll be a fun game.
You're trying so hard.
The Jazz
to believe.
play well against Milwaukee.
You know what? You believe all you want. You're screwed.
There's no love.
Take that, you peanut butter and jelly.
No, I'm Reese's dark chocolates, banana cream pie, and yummy caramels here that Mrs. Ringmaster brought in.
I can't believe you ignored my treats and loved those so much more.
I didn't ignore yours.
That sucks.
I'm going to use them.
That is depressing.
They're going to be delicious. I will devour them. Thanks to Mama Salvesen, too.